So we finally got to see it. Doctor Who Season 1 Space Babies. In this episode, Ruby learns of the Doctor's amazing secrets when he takes her to the far future. Pretty standard stuff for a new companion, but when they get to the far-flung future, they find a baby farm run by babies. Yeah, you heard me right. Run by babies. Now, on first thought, you're just a little bit like, really? Doctor Who? Really? But we're going to discuss this episode a little bit first, and then I will discuss some questions and mysteries that I picked up while watching the episode as well. So, first thing I want to address, and thank the heavens that I'm going to say this, new intro. Well, the same-ish intro, just updated and fixed. The specials intro looked off. It had weird camera movements in the title sequences, and the weird transition of the logo just made it feel as if it was like a last-minute decision. But all is well because they fixed it and it looks smashing now. We start off with Ruby going on her first journey in the Tardis, and oh man, what an entrance to the Tardis that was. We had the Doctor basically give Ruby and the audience a full rundown of what's happened over the last 60 years. But the Doctor manages to do this in just 5 minutes of the episode. So in the first 5 minutes, you're introduced to the Tardis, Ruby, the Doctor, and the Doctor's past. And it doesn't feel squashed, it doesn't feel anything, it just feels natural. And it gives us all the information that we need in order to continue travelling with the Doctor and Ruby. This is really nice because it's really, really nice to see that this season is not a full reboot and that everything for the last 60 years is now not irrelevant. This gives new fans a taster and will entice them into going back and watching classic Who and new Who. New Who. We can't really call it that now, can we? It's old Who now. Because season 1 would now be new Who. Okay, I've got it. Who classic, Who old, and Who new. Sorted. New names for the eras. I need to say though, the TARDIS is just fucking stunning. I genuinely love the TARDIS shots. It is just an amazing design and it really does feel and look new. Never done before. Absolutely amazing. We have the introduction to superstition with Ruby stepping on a butterfly. Before she does step on the butterfly, she says to the Doctor before she leaves the TARDIS, what happens if I step on a butterfly? Introducing the butterfly effect. This sets the episode up very nicely for what's to come. It's weird because during this scene you can actually see that the Doctor is confused and really doesn't know what just happened when Ruby turns into the butterfly creature thing. Yeah. I think that was just to show off the budget, if I'm being honest. Anyway, he picks up the butterfly and blows on it and brings the butterfly back to life, reverting the changes that were made to Ruby. But I tell you something though, it was really, really weird to be back in actual space. Like, I know we had space with Wild Blue Yonder, but that was more just like spaceship and looking out into the dark abyss. We had space, baby. Yes, the pun was intended. We get space babies, and I mean actual babies in space on a space station. It is funny, and I swear only RTD could come up with something so quirky and as weird a concept for an episode. But during the introduction scenes to this, or the landing on the space station scene, this has a very, very familiar feel to it. And it just kept taking me back to Rosie's first time in space and the end of the world. The scene is entirely its own, but RTD was definitely paying homage to his first revival series. With Ruby, we got off to a very strong start. She is right in there and isn't afraid to go along with the cosmic joyride, as the posters say. Her character was very likeable for me in the church on Ruby Road, but she really grew on me more in this episode. And by the end of it, it was as if she was a Doctor Who veteran that had always been there. A little bit like Amy or Rose or Donna. Like, she genuinely fits in that well within this first episode. With the Doctor, you get a sense of renewal and freedom from him. It really is like he's let go of all his worries and stresses and no longer is holding on to the past. Poor 14 being stuck with all of that. But this allows this Doctor to adventure with a lot more fun and be a lot more out there instead of staying on the edge of caution. Ncuti Gatwa was made for this role. I've seen him in 2.25 episodes and I love him already. He really just embodies the Doctor in so many ways, but most importantly, he really is his own incarnation of the character. There is the talk that he has with one of the babies, which I found to be a very, very nice talk. It helped show us more of what his character is about. It was an inspirational talk, spreading love, positivity, and caring for people, which is something we know the Doctor once cared about because the 12th Doctor was all about being kind. So it really is, like, there is things that bleed through into this incarnation of the Doctor from the old series. He still managed to keep it fresh enough for people to jump on it and be like, this is a whole new thing, like, you've never seen anything like this before. Pacing for this episode was very good as well. I didn't feel like it came to any immediate halts or any stops for any reason that seemed unnecessary. The pace just kind of moved along. Even though we had a spaceship full of babies and buggies, I thought that was going to be an issue, but it really wasn't. It kind of just worked in its own magical and wonderful way. I just have to say this quickly though. I really, really, really do like the new Sonic. It's grown in size and it's grown on me. It just looks better when the Doctor's using it. If you think about it, before, every time the Doctor had the sonic screwdriver, the only thing that you could hear was the sonic noise, and 9 times out of 10 the blue or the green light, or red light if you're talking about classic, but most of the time you couldn't actually see the Doctor using the sonic, you could just see the light and hear the buzzing noise. This sonic screwdriver actually allows you to see the Doctor using it. It allows you to see the Doctor pressing buttons on it. It seems a lot more purposeful, if that makes sense. Let's move on to the Bogeyman. The Bogeyman now, this is where the story really ramps up and starts to get interesting. I don't want to say too much in regards to this scene, because the episode kind of centres around this. But all I will say is the Bogeyman is terrifying and the prop and CGI mix was just fantastically done. Honestly, it was really good. At the end of this heartfelt story that allows us to get into some danger and begin the journey with the new incarnation and his companion, the story was not too serious and it was kind of light-hearted with some scary and high intense moments throughout the episode. There is some nice scenes with Ruby and the Doctor bonding and building their new friendship, and overall by the end of the episode it just kind of ravels up into a big misunderstanding of what was actually going on in the space station. I don't want to say too much more than that because I've struggled with trying to word this so that I don't ruin the ending for you, because if you've not watched it, you'll not want it ruined. But basically, yeah, misunderstanding, the Doctor figures it out, fixes everything as they normally would, and then everything's hunky-dory after that. I'm sorry, but is it just me that thought this scene with the spaceship flying away looked like a giant ass spaceship? Like, it literally looks like a big badonkey. I don't know if that's been deliberate or not, but it literally looks like a big ass. Okay, on to the fun stuff. The stuff you were probably here for in the first place. The mystery boxes. So in this episode, we got a good few more mysteries and one-liners dropped just to help build more intrigue and interest. Something we all know that RTD loves to do and loves to just fry our brains. So the first one that we got was a name drop. So first of all, we have a name drop of multiple different Time Lords. This is at the very beginning of the episode. And guess who pops up within that name drop of multiple different Time Lords? The Rani. The Rani is dropped in there. I'm really starting to think that RTD has plans for her. I really think if we do not see her return this season, it will be next season. I don't want to say season 3 because it's not even been confirmed yet, but if it's not season 2, then the Rani's definitely coming. It's been mentioned far too much now. This has been getting teased for so long, and I think RTD is the right writer to bring it to a head and do it very well. We then have the Mavity gag when the Doctor is discussing how the Tardis translation circuit works. It's very nice to see this being addressed and not just explained, but visually explained, which I don't think we've ever seen on the show before. I know it's been addressed, but not quite like that. But again, this will be to help new jumping on viewers to understand how stuff works within the Whoniverse and within the TARDIS itself as well. One thing that really sticks out in this episode, because it really is something that we have never seen before, well, at least not of Who old. The Doctor gets scared and runs away. Like, the Doctor actually gets scared of the Bogeyman and runs away. They later bring further attention to this by talking about it later in the episode. This is resolved within the episode as to why this happened, but I really think there has to be a deeper meaning to it, and it will probably be significant later on. And then we come to the end of the episode. So at the end of the episode, we have the Doctor landing in Ruby's mum's kitchen, destroying the ceiling again. I think this is going to be relevant as well, because this is the second time that's happened since the Christmas special, which literally was last episode. So yeah, RTD's trying to draw our attention to something here. I don't know what the hell a ceiling's got to do with anything, but apparently the TARDIS has grew in size, not just inside, but outside as well, because it used to be able to fit in living rooms and kitchens and houses before, so I think the TARDIS is a little bit bigger Destiny arc in Series 4. I think there may be a touch of Destiny that goes along with Ruby, but maybe approached in a slightly different way or a bigger different way this time round, since Destiny is technically superstition and it would fit with the overall theme that seems to be getting shown to us through the trailers in this episode. I have no more thoughts on that. I'm just going to wait and see if that plays out. But yeah, I feel like Ruby's arc's going to kind of be like the Foundling arc, but she's also going to have some kind of form of destiny there as well. And she was always going to meet up with the Doctor and all that kind of stuff. It very well could be down that road, because it was very specifically mentioned in a very, very intimate moment between the Doctor and Ruby, so that you did catch it and it wasn't just a thrown away sentence. It was a serious kind of here, listen to what we're saying moment. So I think that is going to be the case. Possibly. I could be completely wrong. What did you think of the episode if you did watch it? I want to know, because I'm really, really excited to hear what people think about this new series. This new season of Doctor Who, because I want to know if it's going in the direction that I guessed it would as soon as I found out RTD was taken over again. In total, I would give this episode an 8 out of 10, and I think that's a really, really good rating for a first episode of a season. Totally worth watching if you haven't watched it already. So we finally got to see it, and my long-awaited dread about this episode is... well, let's find out, shall we? Doctor Who Season 1, The Devil's Chord. In this episode, the Doctor and Ruby meet the Beatles and discover the all-powerful Maestro is changing history. London becomes a battleground with the future of humanity at stake. Humanity at stake? Nothing that's never happened before in Who? Well, guess what? Who knew Who could redo Who? Yeah, I thought that was funny at 5 o'clock in the morning when I was writing this. I guess not. We start off the episode with an introduction to the Devil's Chord and what that is. I love when we get some backstory or further information to help you understand the episode a little bit better. Some of the stuff in Doctor Who can be a little bit hard to follow sometimes, so a little bit more context is great for non-music enthusiasts in this situation. We're then introduced to Maestro, and I've got to say, I had no idea the introduction to this character was going to be so damn early in the episode, but I love it. Maestro is literally called upon by the episode's title, The Devil's Chord. Once this is played, she comes crawling out of the piano with her theatre turned up to 100. My initial skepticism about this episode was the acting was going to be a little bit out of whack, just with Jinx being a drag star. The acting is normally over the top for this type of performance, but we will get back to this in a minute. Stakes are set really high from the beginning of the episode, as Maestro very nicely sets the tone for what's to come from them and how much danger the Doctor and Ruby could potentially be in. The episode's pacing is quite fast, and I felt like every time I was about to catch my breath, I lost it again with another twist or turn. Saying that, there is a part in the episode where the Doctor takes Ruby back to the future to show her the damage that Maestro has caused. Within this scene, the Maestro appears within the future and shutters the Doctor into a very intimate and dark scene with 2 big stage lights. This part slowed the episode down a lot, but it was a severely needed scene as we find out so much about who the Maestro is and what she can do. The messed up original music in this episode, from the Beatles to Cilla Black, and the Doctor and Ruby's reactions to how this is all messed up, is absolutely genius and hilarious. RTD really does know how to do Doctor Who, and this is really fun and great to see it be put back on the screens with a higher budget and better well-rounded stories. This episode really addresses the love for music and why music is important not only to the world but for the survival of the human race. Addressing music being so important is a vital part of this episode, and to be honest, I'm here for it all. Music is literally happiness and bliss. We finally get to a scene where the Doctor and Ruby run into the TARDIS in an attempt to get away from the Maestro after she starts messing with the TARDIS. This is amazing to see because of the new TARDIS design. She literally had an impact on it. What it was doing, how it was looking, how the lights were flickering. However, the Doctor starts to break the TARDIS and starts ripping things out of the console, and we're only 2 episodes into this season. Damn, stakes were definitely high. I've spoken on Ruby's character in Space Babies, but in this episode we get to learn just a little bit more. Ruby is fun and loves to have a laugh and a joke. We see Ruby Sunday play the piano and sing a little bit in this episode. We We already knew she could do that from the church on Ruby Road. But there was not much further really in the way the character was developed in this episode, other than some comments being mentioned by the maestro that are a little bit worrying for the Doctor, I think. We'll discuss this when we get to the mystery boxes. The Doctor has his being scared of things arc. I'm calling it an arc now because this is the second time that this appeared. But anyway, the Doctor has this arc continued in this episode as he runs and hides with Ruby from the Maestro. I really think there's going to be a reason for this, and we'll find out more later on. Ruby even comments on this. You're never scared and you never hide. I mean, this girl's only known the Doctor for all of 2 adventures, so she knows him inside out, right? Back to my initial worry about this episode being terrible. I was so wrong. Jinx Monsoon is perfect for the Maestro, and I really hope that she comes back for another adventure. Her acting was on point, over the top when it needed to be, and just right when it needed to be. So there was no continuous overacting, and everything blended in and gelled really well. The use of Jinx's deep register and her voice throughout this episode is just so damn chilling. Again, you can fully see the Disney dollars in this episode, and I said it in Space Babies, and I'm saying it again here, we have never seen Doctor Who look this good. Now on to the mysteries that were hinted upon in the episode. So, first and most importantly, where was the psychic paper? There were so many scenes in this episode that could have used it. Last time we saw the psychic paper was on the church on Ruby Road, so we know that it is being carried over to this season. It really isn't a mystery where the psychic paper is, because most of the time it just appears randomly throughout the season or the series. But it's more of a, I would have liked to have seen that be there because there was so much potential for it to be used in this episode. Yeah, I do hope that it actually will come back. Susan Twist. She now has another background role in this episode. She was the tea lady and actually shared a few lines with the Doctor on screen. I have no idea who this lady is or why the hell she just keeps appearing through time like this. She seems so normal as well. But I do want to say she could potentially be the one who waits, watching along as she waits. There's something else here that I noticed throughout this episode, and it was really prominent, and I think I've said it before, but it's regarding the Doctor breaking the 4th wall. So the Doctor broke the 4th wall in this episode. Not only that, the Maestro broke the 4th wall twice in this episode. And in the trailers, the Doctor breaks the 4th wall at the start of each trailer and at the end of each trailer. And I really think this is key to the actual story being told here, because we've got superstition and basically fantasy. My theory here is that Ruby is potentially part of a TV episode or a TV show, and these actors or the villains and the Doctor know this is what's going on. What leads me to further believe this is the fact that the legend of Ruby Sunday is literally a video camera facing these screens on the wall with glitches and stuff like that in them. So has there been some kind of glitch in the universe where everybody just seems to break 4th walls? I mean, it's not as if it's not deliberately done, because it's done in a way where it's so prominent and noticeable that it's got to mean something for the story arc overall. There was also a really nice scene on the rooftop where the Doctor acknowledges that he would be in Totter's Lane round about this time period with his granddaughter Susan. I really do hope that they bring Susan back. They seem to have brought everyone else bar her back, and she's the original. She is being mentioned. RTD also mentioned in an Instagram post a while back, Susan, whatever happened to her. So I think Susan could potentially play a key role in either this season or next season. I feel like it would be more suited to next season just because we're kind of building back up into Doctor Who again with new fans and stuff, so let them get familiar with the show and then start introducing that stuff. The giggle, as I mentioned before, it was mentioned when the Doctor and Ruby were running away, trying to hide from the Maestro. This is actually a direct callback to the Toymaker, and the Maestro has a relevant role with the Toymaker. I don't want to say too much because if you're going to watch the episode, I don't want to ruin that surprise for you. The next thing that the Maestro had mentioned was the oldest one. So the oldest one was mentioned, and I think this is another godlike celestial being that has maybe been here literally from the beginning of time. Could this be a callback to bringing back the devil from the Satan's pit? Either that, is it the oldest relation in the family? Who knows? And I don't mean the family of blood, I mean literally the family of Celestials that's happening right now. Okay, so back to what I was discussing when I said the Maestro commented on Ruby. Maestro literally said that Ruby is wrong. So this means that there's definitely something not right with Ruby Sunday. I don't want to go down the road of her being a ganger. I don't see any purpose for this, really. I really do think that Ruby isn't human at the very least. And this would be nice because this would be the first time we've had a non-human companion since Nardole. The one who waits was mentioned, and I think this is possibly something to do with Susan Twist. Could it be something to do with the fact that the Doctor changed gravity to mavity and Susan Twist is out to seek revenge for some stupid reason? Who knows? She's definitely an important character for this season though, as she's been in 2 episodes now, and we now know she'll also appear in episode 3, Boom, written by Stephen Moffat. In total, I would give this episode a 9 out of 10. So that is another point up from the first episode, Space Babies. 100% worth watching if you haven't already. And I can tell you something else that's worth watching within the Whoniverse too. This video right here. Click it. Go on, you know you want to.